Havok's gaming den. Step on in, let the legend begin. Woo! Why do we play in the dark like this? Chasing ghosts we can't explain. Building whole worlds out of borrowed time. Laughing through the loss and gain. Havok's the master of the gaming den. Deals the Dow with a crooked grin. Tell me a story, roll it again. Why do we game? And who wants to win?
Welcome to Havok's Gaming Den. I am your host, Havok LionHeart, coming to you from parts unknown. Tonight I want to talk to you about, imagine, if you will, if we treated our minds the way we treat our bodies. We don't just shove whatever's in front of us down our throat. We think about what we eat. We think about, have I eaten too much? Is this too many calories? Is this too much fat? Is this too much salt? Is this too much sugar? Is this too much this, that, 100 other things? We concern ourselves so much with the dietary restrictions of what we put into our body, but why don't we do the same thing with games? We pour hours, sometimes years, into these games, whether it's video games, board games, tabletop. Every session, every roll, every choice, it's feeding something. It's wiring habits into our brain, into our psyche, into who we are. It is shaping how we think under fire, under pressure, in those tense moments. How you handle getting jacked up, how you handle getting screwed over, how you treat the people sitting across from you or on the other end of an internet connection, on the other end of that screen. I've seen it firsthand. Guys I grew up with, hooked on Halo, Call of Duty, just first-person shooters from back in the day, turning into short fuse arguments at the bar. Other people grinding the battle arenas, always scheming betrayal, like always looking where they're going to plant that knife. How are they going to screw you over? What are they going to do to get the benefit for themselves? And then you've got your D&D crew. Now, sometimes these are going to overlap. You've got some people that they love grinding their death matches. They love playing those games just over and over and over again. And some of them also play D&D. But generally, for a large majority of the D&D crew, they're calmer, they're sharper, they're listening where other people have already turned off their thought process. Tonight, we're cutting straight to it. We're going straight to the horse's mouth of gaming. One of the greatest, most prevalent games in our history, Dungeons and Dragons. What is this game actually putting into us? What is it training us? What is it having us do? Is it building us up? Is it tearing us down? Is the person that this is developing and creating, is it the kind of person that we want to become? Stick with me. We're going deep, and I mean real deep. Let's roll. Look, games are not neutral. They never have been, they never will be. Go back far enough, ancient hunters in the dirt carving bones to practice tracking prey. Warriors scratching battle maps in the sand, drilling flanks and feints. Even kids chasing each other in the woods. That's tag turning into who's got your back when the bear shows up. Because at the end of the day, all of these games have always been about something. There was a purpose behind the game. Yes, there was an entertainment aspect to it. It helped to pass the time. You enjoyed one another's company. But at the same time, those times where dad and son sat out in the field and threw rocks at the tree or shot the bow and arrow at a target and these kinds of things. There was a point behind all of these. We were training accuracy. We were training the endurance to be able to be out in the elements and in all of nature so that when the time come, we would already be ready. We would be prepared. We would be trained. Games train survival. Fast forward to now. That hasn't changed. We're still being trained by the games we play. But the thing is, what are we being trained to? And are we contemplating what we're being trained to do? Shooting games, first-person shooters, they train your twitch reflexes, your headshot aggression, your general aggression, and you want to be king of the hill. You want to be first. You want to be top. And you're primed to frag first, ask questions never. Because everything that you see is an enemy. So you're going to shoot first, ask questions later. And yeah, it's a game. It doesn't mean anything. It trains you to think a specific way. It trains you to, for lack of necessarily a better way to really phrase it, it makes you trigger happy. It makes it so that you think you understand, you think you know, so now you're going to make that snap decision and you're going to, because that's the other thing it teaches. It trains us on that risk assessment, on the making that decision. But whereas once upon a time, these games were designed to mimic real life situations so you can kind of get that accurate risk assessment. Now you've got them where there is no risk assessment to it because you run out, you die, you respawn. Who cares? There's no scarcity. There's no having to fight or claw or earn for what you get. Loot box, like mobile battle royals, they train pure addiction loops, chasing the next dopamine hit until you're bankrupt and bitter. Competitive esports grind, win at all costs. It trains betrayal as a feature of the game. Then you come to D&D. Born in 74 from wargame nuts, but it evolved. No pixels, no solo leaderboard. It's you, your closest friends, dice that do not care about your ego. They will stomp on that ego, grind it into the dirt, and then smile at you like, oops, did I do that? Oh well, and move right on along. And on top of that, you get a story that will shift, that will turn, that will twist, that will flip upside down on the drop of a hat, on a whim. The DM throws a curveball, your flawless plan shredded. Now what? Because of that raw setup, it trains something different, something deeper. It trains you to be better. It trains you to be strategic without the rage. Because you can get angry all day long. The dice don't care. And at the end of the day, your DM is sitting behind that screen. And if he is a halfway decent DM, he's got a number in front of him that the thing you're trying to do, you got to beat that number. He's not being mean. He's not being one-sided. He's not being any other number of 50 different adjectives that we could use. If he's a halfway decent DM, he put together more or less a story, and then he's letting the dice tell the story. And that's the thing. That's where the importance comes. Because you have to be strategic and you have to leave the anger to the side. Because like I said, the dice don't care about your anger. You have to be creative without the chaos. You have to be human in ways that screens can't touch. Because with D&D, it's more than the interface. It is the relationship. It is the connection with the person across the table. It is that aspect that technology will never be able to duplicate. The technology will never be able to replicate. And it can take us and help us becomes so much more, but only if we see it for what it is. Think about your own gaming life. What's it feeding you? Is the shooter that you're always playing, does it make you want to snap at people in traffic where, hey, get out of my way. I'm late. I got to get to where I'm going. Come. Or have you been playing a lot of D&D? Is it making you contemplative? Is it making you wonder about that guy that just cut you off in traffic? Is he running behind? Did he wake up this morning and roll a 1 when he walked outside and his tire was flat? So now he's 15 minutes behind. I'm not here to sell you on fairy tales or rah-rah nerd power. I'm here to say pay attention. Because whatever game you're playing, it's already changing you. The question is, do you like the direction it's taking you? Because at the end of the day, that's the point, is to understand what these games are doing to us. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not against entertainment. I'm not against having a good time. But we should weigh how much is entertainment worth? How much time should we lay on entertainment when that same time, that same entertainment value could be gained with an additional benefit of training us in some aspect of our life where we need development? Now, for tonight, I have compiled 15 different ways that D&D rewires you mentally and makes you think in specific ways. "15 ways D&D rewires you, whether you notice it or not." No fluff, just facts, as much as I can keep me from rambling, with real player stories that I have seen online, where these aspects are not just things that you train in the game. They're not just things that you learn and only apply when you're at the gaming table, when you're with your buddies and your math rocks. These transfer from the table to your real life. And I think it's pretty cool. So, number 1, we've got strategic thinking. You learn to plan 3 steps ahead or you get squashed. You get, I think the term currently is unalived. That doesn't go away when you leave the table. Strategy does not leave you. Once you understand strategy, it's always there. The example that I found online from a large number of us were things like the party scouting a goblin lair. You call patrols and choke points. And you work on this planning aspect, this scouting the lair, figuring out how you need to do your patrols, where the choke points are. That strategy aspect then transfers over, and the following week you outmaneuver a coworker that's trying to steal your project idea. It helps in every facet of our life. And these are not just anecdotal. Like, there's actual evidence that I'll point to later on that's actually like scientific, that backs everything that I'm talking about here. It also trains our creativity, because you have to make this stuff up on the spot. It's like improv, and that skill transfers, because sometimes you don't know what's going to come out of your mouth until you open it. And then all of a sudden you're telling a story about a goblin that rode a war pig down the side of a mountain to infiltrate some orcs, or who knows, to assault a dragon. Crazy things happen when ale is involved. The example that I found was the bard seduces a dragon with a limerick. And then the player later pitches a wild ad campaign that lands the client for them. So, sometimes when you're in the heat of the moment, you just say, screw it, and you go with it. And sometimes that creativity, that ability to think on the fly, to make this stuff up as you go, it will come back and give you benefits in so many different ways we just don't even understand. I find these just story after story after story. Number 3, resilience. It teaches so much resilience, because every single one of us understands when the dice drop, a nat 1 is going to roll at some point. If you go an entire session and you never see that fabled stick pop up on your dice, then blessings be upon you, good sir and ma'am, because it happens. It stinks. It sucks. But we all face it. You shrug, you move on, and you try again. And life's the exact same way. You're in the middle of the example that I found for this one was the rogue botches the stealth and alarms blare. The group flips it into a bar brawl escape. And then the next week, you laugh off a crash sales demo at work. Because what you gonna do? Sometimes you can control it. Sometimes you can't. And that's what you learn. You can't control the dice. You can't control what's going to happen. All you can do is make the best of it. All you can do is accept it, move on, and get past it. And that's what D&D teaches. Number 4, we've got teamwork. Because, as we all know, you do not split the party. Lone wolves get eaten. You learn to lean on people. One person can't do everything. Everybody's got a role. Everybody has a place. Everybody works together, and it's beautiful. You don't work together, and it's TPK. Everybody wipes. The fighter hoards the heals till the TPK almost hits. He learns to signal the cleric early. So he's learning that communication. He's learning that teamwork. Hey, let's get some talking going on. Let's get some communication going on. I got to tell the cleric before I'm going to drop. And so then the foreman learns a little bit better on how to delegate to his construction crew. And yes, make no mistake, we are everywhere. We are foremen on construction crews. We are professors at universities. We are teachers. We are pipe fitters. We are welders. 5, it trains our empathy because you play a character who isn't you. You have to take yourself, you have to step out of who you are and into that character. That character knows things that you don't. You know things that that character doesn't. And you have to separate the two. You start seeing why people do what they do. You have a goblin with starving kids' backstory. The player stops road raging at idiots by asking why they're swerving. I talked about that a few minutes ago. And all of these things add and play together and all coming together to make us better, to make us better than we were. Number 6, risk assessment. I touched on this slightly a little bit earlier in one of them. Do I charge the dragon or talk first? Real life needs that filter. You're weighing the lich fight versus parlay and saving the party. A dude pauses before quitting his dead-end job and negotiates a better one. Risk assessment we can all benefit from. We can all learn that we need to negotiate better, that we need to discuss better. And in this particular aspect, being able to weigh the possibilities on the fly is an amazing ability to train. And D&D does it so well. Number 7, patience. Campaigns take months. Instant gratification is for children. We all understand this. Yeah, it's great to get things right now, but it's even better to be able to do what you have to now and get a greater reward later. 6 months grinding for an artifact payoff helps a player grind through night classes without dropping out. Again, it's teaching us. And the thing is that even if you're not paying attention, it's teaching these things. It's teaching all of this, whether you realize it or not. The effect of spending 6 months grinding to try to get this artifact, those 6 months, it trains you to It trains you to that. Putting in the time, the effort, the blood, sweat, and the tears to eventually get what you want. Number 8, negotiation. You talk your way out of fights more than you win them. That's power. It truly, truly is. Haggling a merchant from 100 gold to 60, same guy sweet talks boss into a 15% raise. Taking the time, because here's the thing. You're sitting at the D&D table. You're going back and forth with your DM, negotiating, trying to get a better deal for the magic sword. And then after the fact, you have done role played, talking and overcoming objections so much that now when it's time to sit down and talk to somebody, you're already in that mind frame. You're already in that negotiation ability. Number 9, problem solving. Low resources, bad odds, figure it out anyway. Example, rope plus grease spell equals trap escape. Player later jury rigs a busted truck alternator on a back road. Trying to figure it out. Because at the end of the day, it's not about what you can do. It's about what you can convince the DM you can do. Because at the end of the day, we all understand you can do anything if the DM says yes. If the DM says, okay, and that's problem solving. Figuring out, okay, if I do this, then this, then this, then the DM's going to say, okay, this works. I just have to figure out what A, B, and C is. Number 10, emotional control or emotional regulation. Dice screw you over, give you bad results on the regular. You don't flip the table every single time you roll that nat 1. We both know this. We both understand this because you still have a gaming group. If you did actually flip the table and you no longer have your gaming group, my condolences. You seem to have not learned that emotional control. Find another gaming group and try again. Just because you flipped one table doesn't mean you'll flip the next table. It's okay. Crit, fail, cascade. You breathe deep, you pivot, you calm down faster during your kids' tantrums at home. Because if you can breathe through 3 nat 1s in a row, your 4-year-old screaming and throwing their sippy cup that they want McDonald's isn't so bad. I mean, at least you didn't fall off the horse, off the bridge, into the ravine. I mean, how many ones in a row can you roll? Speaking of which, 11. Adaptability. Plans die fast. You learn to roll with it. The DM drops a beholder ambush. The party swaps tactics mid-fight. You handle a sudden layoff like a boss. Because at the end of the day, we can adapt to whatever comes, to whatever's going to happen. 12. Storytelling. You learn how to make people care about what you say. Epic dwarf eulogy hooks everyone at the table. After which, said shy player nails a wedding toast. Getting into these, being able to interact at that level, being able to talk, that's something that doesn't come naturally. You have to practice that. And these are skills that as you practice, as you develop, they will come. But you have to practice them. You have to train your skills. Games train skills. D&D trains skills. 13. Moral complexity. Good guys do bad things. Bad guys have reasons for the things they do. No one is the bad guy in their own story. The bad guy is the hero of their own story. It's just that nasty, evil hero won't leave him alone. Black and white thinking goes away. Do you spare the repentant bandit, or do you just execute him? The player gets why his evil neighbor snaps and offers help instead of anger. 14. Leadership. This one for me is a big one. This is to me, this is D&D gold right here, leadership. Someone has to rally the group. Sometimes it's you. Wizard barks flank left in a boss fight. A quiet coder starts running team sprints at his tech job. The more you step into that role of giving those orders to your party, of being able to step into that role of taking command and actually being a leader and not a manager, that transfers to real life. It can't help but. Because when you know what to do, it's really easy to do something. 15. Wonder. You remember what it feels like to imagine again. Because how many of us, we reach an age where it's no longer acceptable to believe in magic. It's no longer acceptable to believe in the things that you can't see. Most adults, we lose. D&D brings it back. Co-crafting a floating city. Burnt out dad starts bedtime stories that bond the family. I think a lot of us are aware of the whole Harry Potter being a bedtime story. I mean, from one thing to another. Every one of these sticks, every one of these changes you. Games train you. Absolutely. Pick your game carefully. Think about the game that you're playing. Now, for a special call out to D&D. This, for me, is really, really close to home. But D&D is a special thing for those of us in the neurodivergent and autistic community. Because D&D is one of the best social training grounds out there, if the table's right. That is massively important because you've got to be in the right space. If as an autistic individual, if you find that right table, it's the best thing that can happen for you. Because of the rules being black and white clear, as long as you roll this and you get this number, you can do this thing. It makes everything just cut and dry, black and white. It turns structured like clockwork. Expectations are all written down. There's no mind reading required. You don't have to guess. It kills the exhausting guesswork of real talk. Role play layers on safe practice, reading cues, voicing feelings, slipping into alien shoes with zero real fallout. You can take the time with all of the rules and everything being exactly laid out. There is no question. You can go into it knowing exactly how things are. So all of the questions that we have as autistic and neurodivergent individuals, all of that guesswork in our daily lives, we have all of that completely and utterly spelled out for us. So that at that point, all we have to concern ourselves with is that social interaction, is those things where in the real world we have so many questions. Role play layers on the safe practice. I've already covered that part. The players report walking taller, connecting deeper, and handling chats without meltdown. The example that I found was that autistic player turn order, let me jump in, sans anxiety, first time I led a work meeting. Follow that. You have an autistic player that because of turn order lets you jump into stuff without anxiety. It gives them the confidence, it gives them the ability, the training to lead a work meeting. These are things that are actually helping and aiding these people. Another one is a bold paladin's charisma bled out, and the person asked their crush on a date. No script needed. I also found a story of a Reddit user that DMs for kids now, crediting D&D for their confidence burst, their confidence explosion in being able to step into that space, being able to step into doing that. And these stories, I'm just talking about a couple here and there, but these, there's hundreds of thousands of millions of these stories out there. And I know, I've heard it. I've heard it all. We all have these stories. I've heard so many times. My DM was a railroad tie. My party were just murder hobos. D&D didn't make me more empathetic. It made me hate people. I hear you. It sucks. But here's the straight answer. 10 times. Bad DMs don't disprove the validity of this system. They're just bad drivers. Toxic groups teach you to spot red flags faster. That's still growth. You're learning. One bad table doesn't cancel millions of good ones. The rules themselves reward cooperation. Jerks just have to fight the system to ruin. But the rules are there to push back against those jerks, against the ones that want to ruin. There are better tables out there. Roll20, Discord, local shops. There are tables, there are games, there are groups out there. You just have to keep looking. You've got to find. We are out there. We are good. Our community is strong. You've just got to keep looking. Run it yourself if you can't find one. If you need to make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed, everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be, that gives you the full control you need. Even bad sessions will teach patience and risk assessment. Because sometimes you have to assess, is it worth fighting? Or are you just going to keep your mouth shut, let it go, and move on next time? Structure helps neurodivergent players most. Bad groups just prove why it's needed. Because if the structure is so bad that even a neurotypical is having to say something, is having a bad time, well, then obviously that's not going to be a good place for a neurodivergent person. D&D pushes teamwork and gray morality. Shooters push kill everything. It's different training. Because the kill everything mentality is a one size fits all. It's a cookie cutter existence. And the real world is not cookie cutter. We're not all black and white. We're not all left and right, up and down, yes, no. We're all different compositions. We're all different. And that aspect is what D&D teaches us. Because we learn in D&D diversity. I don't know very many tables where you sit down and they're all human fighters. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm sure there has been some games because we're weird enough that we're going to be like, hey, why don't we do this thing? But at the end of the day, there's still going to be diversity, because you're not going to have 5 human fighters that are all great sword wielders using the exact same setup. They're all not going to be bohos that pincushion everything. Each one is going to be slightly different. And the last thing on this is, if one barrel's rotten, get a new one. Most people who keep playing win big, because you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. If you walk away from the table, you no longer get to play. If you keep looking for a table, if you keep going to the table, eventually you're going to find a good one. Now understand, I'm not telling you sit at a bad table. I'm not telling you to take abuse if you're being mistreated. If it's a bad experience, valid, understandable. Get up and walk away from the table. Don't let one individual, don't let someone take it from you. Because I can hear some of you. It wasn't just one person. It's been 5 different groups. It's been 10 different groups. I understand. I really do. But don't let somebody take this away from you. It's not worth it. But I'm not just spitballing here. I'm not just talking anecdotally. I'm not just talking to tell stories. There is science behind all of this. There are peer-reviewed studies, actual scientific studies by real doctors, real psychologists, real therapists, working with real autistic and neurodivergent people, and some that just have PTSD and other mental health issues. D&D is actually a therapy for different conditions. First, Dr. Gray Atherton's 2024 study in the Autism Journal, 8 diagnosed autistic adults ran a 6-week online D&D campaign. They used the Waterdeep Dragon Heist modules. The qualitative interviews showed that it built safe social bonds, slashed pressures, and sparked inner hero confidence that bled into real life. Yes, you heard that right, that it bled into real life. Merrick, in 2024, in Games for Health Journal, repeated measures trial, 25 community players did weekly 1-hour D&D over 8 weeks. The stats came out that there were significant drops in depression, anxiety, and stress scores, and big rises in self-esteem and self-efficacy. Heinrich and Worthington, in 2021, rapid review in the Journal of Creativity and Mental Health, assessed 13 studies on D&D therapy. And they found that it boosts creativity, empathy, connectedness, balanced moral reasoning, and promising for reluctant clients. Leal in 2024 scoping review in psychology research and behavioral management surveyed the 2013 to 2013 literature. Tabletop RPGs like D&D promote cognitive psychosocial skills, cut stress, intervene in social anxiety, depression, and autism. This isn't fringe. This is evidence from controlled play. Good tables will deliver. Good tables will add to all of this therapy and skill development and the entire purpose for why I want the gaming den. Because here's the bottom line. Games aren't just games. They're training. 24/7, every role, every decision, every hour, it's going in, reshaping you. D&D can train you to be more thoughtful, resilient, human, but only if you choose it on purpose. Ditch the poison feeds. Find a good table or make one. Pay attention to what's feeding your mind because something is. Something always is. The games we play will dictate who we become in the future. Are we paying attention to our games? Are we paying attention to who they're turning us into? Because at the end of the day, the point we need to pay attention to is that either we are going to play these games and we're going to understand what these games are training us to do, or we're not, and the games are going to play us. And I really don't like that possibility. I don't like being made to do things that I didn't choose to do, that I didn't have a voice in selecting. For me, it's about understanding this world that we live in, understanding the mechanisms by which we improve ourselves and move forward through this life. Because at the end of the day, you're either getting better or you're getting worse. You're either progressing or you're backsliding. Think about the games that you play. Are they training you? Are they making you better? Are they teaching you to just stare at a screen and watch numbers increase? Are they just training you to get that dopamine release? Are they training you to lose your temper at the drop of a hat? Are they training you that everyone's the enemy? I hope not, because I think at the end of the day, we should all be friends. I think at the end of the day, we should all work together. At the end of the day, don't be crabby. Don't be like the crabs. That's a story for another day.
Hard sleeve shuffle, sharp and clean. Hidden power in between. Top deck miracle crowd goes wild. Havok smiles that know and smile. Bluff and counter, trick and trade. Every combo, every play. One last draw to seal your fate. He calls game, it's check and mate. Havok is a master of gaming. Every table, every screen, every roll, from the dungeon to the final landing. He's the hand on the heart of the whole. When the stakes go higher, he's blazing. In Havok's gaming den, we know Havok is the master of gaming. Hit play, let the legend roll. Havok's gaming den. Call your friends. Press start, let it never end.